Engage.
Real quick, before this video, heads up, the quality sucks. I realize that it sucks. I'm really working on it because this is through a webcam, not through my camera. So again, I apologize for the quality of this video, but I would rather get this up. Hopefully, the audio is fine, so you can still hear me reading. But there's a really bad lag on the video, and sorry, there's absolutely nothing I can do about it. Alright, so things have been happening around here. I bought a new laptop last week, and it runs Windows 8. And for some reason, Windows 8 doesn't support MPEGs, which is what my video camera saves them in. So I've been trying to figure out how to download like a codec support pack for it. Don't really know where to download it from. Still work in progress. But then I realized that my computer has a webcam, which I completely forgot about because the laptop I've been using for the past like 6 years I've had it hasn't had a webcam on it. So, I just thought of this like 10 minutes ago that it has a webcam. So today I am going to be reading chapter 5 of A Rock and a Hard Place. And I've recorded this once before, found I couldn't edit it, so I'm re-recording it. I think that's about it. Sorry it took so long. Again, I've been having difficulties with this laptop. I was gone last weekend, so I couldn't record anything then, and that's when all these troubles started. So it's been kind of aggravating because I really wanted to actually get a lot of videos up this summer, and then the last 2 weeks I just haven't done anything. But again, gonna do chapter 5, and I'll probably stare a little bit below the camera every once in a while because that is where my face is from the webcam, and it's really distracting. I'm not used to that. So again, webcam, weird quality. We're gonna figure this out as we go along. But anyway, chapter 5. Wipe your shoes, Riker. The command had been issued in a very peremptory tone, and Riker grinned when he heard it. This, he said, from the man who kept a room so sloppy, his parents said they'd forgotten the color of the floor. Carter rose and came around his desk, smiling. Riker had just entered his office, wearing heavy thermal gear so padded that he looked like a polar bear. Carter embraced him, pounding him on the back, and the bulky jacket made woof noises with each slap of his hand. Thunderball, he said joyously. Oh, God, Riker winced. Please don't call me that, Jack. Please? What's it worth to you? More than you can cough up, Thunderball. All right, Will, he said laughingly, upon seeing Riker's genuinely distressed expression. He stepped back and grabbed Riker by his shoulder, steadying him up and down. What in hell are you wearing that get-up for? It's pretty warm in Starlight. That's for certain, said Riker. He made a sweeping gesture that seemed to encompass the planet. Atmosphere generators working tip-top, but we were shuttled in, and standard procedures addressed as if anticipating that the shuttle was going to break down. Caution is a good thing. Keeps you alive. He gestured for Riker to sit as he stepped back around his desk. Riker swung the chair around and straddled it, and then said, I never recognized you if I hadn't known. Grizzled, snow up top to match the snow outside, he gestured to the grayish-white hair that was just starting to thin atop his friend's head. Salt and pepper beard? Christ, Jack, you're practically an old man. I'm only a couple years older than you, protested Carter. But I've had quality years, Riker deadpanned. Oh, right. Riker, you were a smartass when we were growing up in Alaska, ever since you hung that squibby tag on me. And you're a smartass now, the only difference being you're a smartass with a beard. Although, frankly, anything that covers that mug of yours is an improvement. This mug served me in good stead, Riker replied. In the far distance, he heard the winds of paradise howling. It reminded him a bit of the old days in Valdez. Every woman in Valdez was sweet on this mug, even Eleanor Butch. Remember her? Carter frowned. Butch. Eleanor Butch. I don't... Come on. Riker reached down and prodded his shoulder. You remember, we called her Butch the Bookworm, the brainiest girl around. Plainest thing you ever saw, uncoordinated, too. Couldn't hit water if she fell off the boat. Carter was rolling his eyes, trying to recall. Eleanor Butch. God, I haven't thought about her, and Riker turned as the door to Carter's small, cluttered office opened. A striking woman entered, and Riker felt the blood drain from his face. In about 5 minutes at least, finished Carter, savoring the moment. Ellie, you remember Will Riker. Will Eleanor Carter, formerly Eleanor Butch. Riker looked from one to the other. His manners an autopilot, Riker stood without hesitating and extended a hand. Eleanor shook it firmly, smiling. Commander Riker, she said with a touch of bemused formality. We followed your career career quite attentively. It's nice to know that a local boy has cut such an important figure in the annals of Starfleet. Riker managed to get his mouth working again. You two are married? No, Will, said Carter dryly. After you left for Starfleet, I adopted her. Now, Jack, be nice, Eleanor remonstrated. Tell me, Commander, do they still call you Thunderball? Oh, Lord, sighed Riker. No, my friends call me Will, although in the Enterprise I'm sometimes called Number One. Number One, said Carter. Then that means you're in charge. No, I'm not in charge, said Riker. I'm the second in command. Then why aren't you called Number Two? Asked Carter. Because that's the way it is, answered Riker, starting to feel a little confused. I get it. If you're the number 2 man, you're number 1. Who's the number 1 man on your ship, then? Captain Picard, said Riker. Did you get to call him number 2? Asked Carter. Because if you don't, then I think you have grounds for a complaint. Riker shot an exasperated look at his friend, then took his glance to Eleanor with a silent plea for help. He was starting to wish he'd gotten another assignment, like walking in the border of the neutral zone stark naked. Please accept my apologies for my soon-to-be late husband's comments, said Eleanor. I love him dearly, but sometimes he says stupid things, like when he's awake, for instance. Carter mimed being shot to the heart. No, it's quite all right, Riker sighed. No one can quite embarrass you like an old friend, and no one has quite the same right to do so. Spoken like a true victim, said Carter graciously. I'm the assistant engineer, Eleanor said formally, hitching herself up to a seated position on the top of Carter's desk. She moved with an easy grace that Riker was amazed he hadn't noticed as a young man. Obviously, Carter had. I've already seen to that scientific team you arrived with. I've already seen to it that the scientific team you arrived with has settled in. They're going over our records and a list of experiments now. You got 3 good people there. It's fortunate that Starfleet didn't send more. We're not exactly bursting with guest facilities down here. As it is, you'll be bunking with us, said Carter cheerfully. Riker tried to keep his enthusiasm down. It was easy. I am? Well, sure, said Carter. Where else? I wouldn't want to put you out. No problem at all, said Carter. He leaned forward and gave a genuine smile. We'll be happy to have you, Will, presuming I can call you that. We are still friends, aren't we? Riker grinned. He was starting to recall the daffy, offbeat pleasantness of Carter that had made him such a valued pal. Of course we are. Don't worry, Eleanor, he said. We'll try not to keep you up too late with bawdy recountings of our exploits. We'll have to keep it clean, said Carter. After all, I have to set an example for the kid. Riker blinked. Kid? Oh, our kid. Mine and Ellie's. He smiled. Boggles the mind, doesn't it? Fortunately, said Eleanor archly, she takes after her mother. Then she writhed, giggling, as Carter prodded her waist, tickling her. She squirmed off the desk and said, I'll get things ready at home. You do that, said Carter, and lock Steffi up. Who's Steffi? A pet or something? Steffi's our daughter, Eleanor informed him. How old is she? 8? 9? 15? Riker gasped. Oh, God, you have a teenage daughter? Jackson, I'm only 32. That's obscene. Now I feel ancient. Couldn't you have waited a few years before having her? Carter glanced at Eleanor. No. Riker looked from one to the other and said quietly, Oh. Anyway, she's 15, said Eleanor, going on 32. Kids grow up very, very fast on Paradise. They have to. Jack, why should we lock her up? To protect Will from her? Or protect her from Will? Carter corrected. After all, Will, we wouldn't want people to find out just why they call you Thunderball, would we? Riker sighed again deeply. A month. Just as time in this office already seemed a month. The 3 scientists had already been giving the walking tour of Starlight, when Carter brought Riker around. Riker refrained from commenting on the general disarray that was the direct contrast to the spick-and-span environment of the Enterprise. The narrow roads were pockmarked with small craters and potholes, and all around them people seemed to be in a hurry. They had to keep their eyes open to avoid collisions on 2 occasions. They stopped in front of one low-slung building, and Carter gestured proudly. We built this first, right after the atmosphere plant. Resource center? Nope. Med facility? Nah. Dormitory? Of course not. Riker sniffed disdainfully. Or Carter sniffed disdainfully. Saloon. How foolish of me, said Riker. Carter gestured towards it. Would you care to... Riker put up a hand and nodded graciously. Maybe later, after the inspection. What's that place? He pointed towards a large building with ventilated windows. You don't want to know. If I didn't before, I certainly do now. Carter sighed. Genetic engineering lab. We were trying to develop an animal that could survive in that. He pointed east. Riker half glanced towards the horizon line. The atmosphere plant had created a bubble of habitability within which Starflight was situated, a mile-wide eye in the hurricane. But that hurricane was quite visible beyond the city's perimeter. The harsh, unpleasant surface of paradise was dark, stormy, and uninviting. The skies undulated in a miasmic whirl, and lightning was dancing across the heavily ionized sky. At that moment, it didn't seem to be snowing, but the wind was clearly blowing fiercely. No wonder that transporters and sensors have little effectiveness on this type of planet. Who would want to know what was down on the surface of such an inhospitable world, much less go down to it? Survive in that? Riker said in disbelief. Carter nodded. Most beings in harsh climates have some kind of animal to be a beast of burden or form of transportation. Something you can count on when the machinery goes kablooey, which happens with alarming regularity around this place. Camels, huskies, goojibs, all products of their environment and all useful to humans and humanoids. Now this place, he waved, produced nothing for us. In fact, if there were indigenous life, we wouldn't have been able to colonize. So instead, you tried to make your own. Can't blame a guy for trying, said Carter. And? Carter took a deep breath and shrugged. Didn't work out. Turns out genetic engineering wasn't our specialty. Win some, lose some, that kind of thing. Riker eyed his friend closely. Was there something else? Come on, Carter said, slapping him on the back. Wife's waiting on us. They walked on toward Carter's small but sturdy home, and somewhere in the shadows of starlight, something growled. Alright, that was a short chapter, so, not a whole lot happened, but do chapter 6 soon. And sorry about all the stuttering and messing up in there. Apparently I'm not used to talking anymore or something. But I don't like re-recording these because it gets to sound practiced after I read it a few times. So I think it'd be better for both of us if I just go with the first take, because then at least it's interesting, and it's not just like me being a robot reading it. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed it. Words.